Selling your house yourself in Huntsville can look like a smart way to save money. But the real question is not, can I avoid paying a commission? The real question is, will I actually walk away with more money? And for most sellers, the answer is usually no. That does not mean FSBO never works. It can work in the right situation. But for most homeowners in Huntsville, Madison, Hampton Cove, and the surrounding Madison County area, selling without representation creates more risk, more work, and often a lower net at closing. Let's break down why. When someone says they want to sell for sale by owner, I understand where they're coming from. Nobody wants to spend money they don't have to spend. If you're looking at a commission line on a closing statement, it's natural to ask, what if I just did this myself? That's a fair question. But home selling is not just about finding a buyer. It's about pricing correctly, creating demand, managing showings, negotiating terms, handling inspection issues, staying ahead of financing problems, getting through appraisal, and making sure the contract actually closes. That's where a lot of sellers underestimate the process. A FSBO seller is not just skipping the listing agent. They are becoming the listing agent. That means you are responsible for the pricing strategy. You are responsible for the marketing. You are responsible for buyer screening. You are responsible for showings. You are responsible for follow-up. You are responsible for negotiation. And you are responsible for making sure all the moving parts from contract to closing stay on track. That may sound manageable at first, but in a market like Huntsville, you are often negotiating against buyers who are represented by agents who do this every day. Their agent is working for them. Their agent is looking for leverage. Their agent is trying to get the buyer the best price, the best terms, and the most protection possible. So if you are selling on your own, the real question becomes this: who is protecting your side of the table? The first major issue is pricing. This is where many FSBO sellers get hurt before the home ever hits the market. They look at Zillow. They look at a neighbor's sale. They look at what they need to net. Then they pick a price. The problem is that buyers do not care what you need. They care how your home compares to every other home they can buy right now. And that comparison is very local. A home in South Huntsville does not price the same way as a home in Madison. A home near Research Park does not price the same way as a home in Hampton Cove. A fully updated home does not price the same way as a home that still has original flooring, older systems, or deferred maintenance. Even within the same neighborhood, two homes can have very different values based on condition, layout, lot, updates, school zone, and buyer demand at that exact moment. That is why pricing is not just pulling 3 sold homes and averaging them. You have to know which sales matter. You also have to know which ones do not. And sometimes the active competition matters even more than the closed sales. Because closed sales tell you where the market has been. Active listings tell you what buyers are choosing from today. If your home is priced above better competition, buyers will see it immediately. They may not say anything. They may not give feedback. They may not make an offer. They will just move on. That is one of the biggest risks with FSBO. You may think you are saving money, but if you start too high, lose the early buyer traffic, and then chase the market down, the savings can disappear quickly. The second major issue is marketing. A sign in the yard is not a marketing plan. A Facebook post is not a marketing plan. A flat fee MLS listing can get the home into the MLS, but that does not mean the home is being positioned correctly. Good marketing is not just exposure. It is presentation plus strategy. It starts with professional photography. It includes how the home is described. It includes where the home is shown online. It includes how the listing competes against other homes in the same price range. It includes how buyer agents understand the opportunity. And it includes what happens in the first 10 to 14 days when the listing is new. That early window matters. If the home launches strong with the right price and the right presentation, you have the best chance to create activity. If it launches weak, overpriced, or poorly presented, you can lose momentum fast. In Huntsville, this matters because buyers have options. They may be comparing your resale home against new construction. They may be comparing your home against another listing with better photos, better condition, or a stronger location. They may be relocating here for Redstone Arsenal, Space Command, the FBI, Cummings Research Park, or one of the major employers in the area. Many of those buyers are represented. They are moving quickly. They are looking online first, and they are forming opinions before they ever schedule a showing. That is why presentation matters. You do not get a second chance at the first impression. The third issue is negotiation. This is where sellers often focus too much on price and not enough on terms. A good offer is not just the highest number. A good offer is the one most likely to close with the strongest net and the fewest problems. You have to look at financing. You have to look at appraisal risk. You have to look at inspection terms. You have to look at closing date. You have to look at possession. You have to look at contingencies. You have to understand whether the buyer is solid or just throwing out a number. A buyer may offer a strong price but ask for closing costs. Another buyer may offer a little less but waive certain contingencies. Another may be cash but want a steep discount. Another may look good on paper but have financing that makes the deal fragile. This is where experience matters, not because every deal is complicated, but because the complicated parts usually show up after everyone thinks they have a deal. Inspection repairs, appraisal gaps, financing delays, insurance problems, title issues, last-minute buyer nerves. These are normal parts of real estate. But if you are selling by owner, you are handling those issues directly. And again, if the buyer has an agent, that agent is not there to protect you. The fourth issue is contract to close. In Alabama, you still need a licensed real estate attorney involved in preparing legal documents and handling closing. That is true whether you sell with an agent or sell FSBO. But the attorney is not your listing agent. The attorney is not creating your pricing strategy. The attorney is not marketing the home. The attorney is not negotiating every term. The attorney is not managing showings. The attorney is not trying to create buyer demand. The attorney has an important role, but it is not the same role as a listing agent. That distinction matters. A lot of FSBO sellers think, I'll just get an attorney and save the commission. But that only solves one piece of the puzzle. It does not solve pricing. It does not solve exposure. It does not solve buyer qualification. It does not solve negotiation strategy. It does not solve market positioning. And it does not solve the emotional part of selling your own home. That emotional part is real. When it is your house, every comment feels personal. A buyer says the kitchen is dated. A buyer says the carpet needs to be replaced. A buyer says the roof looks old. A buyer makes a low offer. It is easy to get defensive. That is normal. But defensiveness does not help negotiations. A listing agent creates a buffer, not to keep you out of the process, but to keep the process productive. You still make the decisions. You still control what you accept. But you have someone filtering the noise, reading the room, and helping you respond strategically instead of emotionally. Now, when can FSBO make sense? There are a few situations. If you are selling to a family member, neighbor, friend, or someone you already know, and you have already agreed on the price and terms, FSBO may be workable. If your home is in a highly desirable location, in excellent condition, priced accurately, and you have the time and knowledge to manage the process, it may work. If you have sold several homes before, understand contracts, understand local pricing, and are comfortable negotiating directly with buyers and agents, it may be a reasonable option. But that is not the typical seller. Most homeowners are not selling homes every week. They are trying to sell one of their largest assets. They are trying to make a smart move. They are trying to protect their equity. And they are trying to avoid mistakes that can cost them thousands. That is why the commission question needs to be reframed. Do not ask, how much can I save by not hiring an agent? Ask, what will I actually net if I sell this way? That is the number that matters. If you save a commission but sell for less, you did not really save money. If you save a commission but give too much away in repairs, concessions, timing, or negotiation, you may not be ahead. If you save a commission but the deal falls apart and you have to start over, that has a cost too. Time on market has a cost. Stress has a cost. Uncertainty has a cost. Bad pricing has a cost. Weak negotiation has a cost. And in many cases, those costs are bigger than the commission sellers were trying to avoid. Here's the practical way to think about it. Before you decide to sell by owner, get real numbers. Not a guess, not a zestimate, not what your neighbor told you. Real numbers. Look at comparable sales. Look at active competition. Look at condition. Look at buyer demand in your price range. Look at likely closing costs. Look at whether offering buyer agent compensation might help attract more represented buyers. Look at your actual net, not just your gross sale price. Then compare that to what a strong listing strategy could realistically produce. That is the honest comparison. Not FSBO versus Realtor in theory, FSBO versus Realtor, based on your actual home, your actual market, and your actual goals. For most Huntsville area sellers, professional representation is not just about convenience. It is about protecting the outcome. It is about getting the price right. It is about creating a stronger launch. It is about reaching the right buyers. It is about negotiating from a position of strength. And it is about getting from contract to closing without letting avoidable problems take over the deal. The bottom line is this: selling without an agent can work in limited situations. But for most sellers, especially if you want to maximize what you walk away with, the better question is not whether you can sell it yourself. The better question is whether selling it yourself is likely to produce the best net result. And that answer depends on the home, the condition, the price range, the competition, and your ability to manage the process from start to finish. If you are thinking about selling in Huntsville, Madison, Hampton Cove, Madison County, or the surrounding area, do not guess on this. Get the numbers first. A clear pricing and net proceeds estimate can help you see whether FSBO makes sense or whether professional representation is likely to put you in a stronger position. If you're thinking about selling, buying, relocating, or investing in the Huntsville area, this is where a short conversation can save you a lot of time and guesswork. Schedule your free 20-minute strategy call using the link in the description. And before you make a decision based only on commission, make sure you understand the full picture. Because the goal is not just to sell, the goal is to sell well, with less stress, with better information, and with a stronger net when the deal is done,